I have tried to make this video twice now, and the first time the sound went off halfway through at 6 minutes, and the second 6 minutes were completely silent. And the second time, my memory card just completely self-destructed and it destroyed everything that I'd made. So I lost 4 videos that I made this week, which is when I kind of gave up on posting every day in Vlogmas. So I'm trying again. If you're hearing background noise, that is both because the kids are home because it's the weekend, and also because I definitely did not get done what I was planning on doing this week when I lost all those videos, and also because Maggie is out there doing her very favorite thing, which is watching our day in the life videos. Maggie has a set of about 20 videos. Most of them are days when we were at a pool or at the beach that she loves to watch over and over again on the big TV in the living room. And that is what she is doing. She had a TV-free morning, but it is the afternoon right now, and she is getting to watch some of her favorite videos. I have always known that our girls come by their sensory processing differences. Honestly, I can especially relate to their proprioceptive seeking tendencies. Theirs are a lot more extreme than mine, but mine are definitely there. And sometimes it was even beneficial. Back in college and even high school, when I did karate, I was usually used as the person that they practiced on because I couldn't feel it when they did joint locks and basically any sort of submission move. They would do it on me because it didn't hurt me. With other people, they would have to do it slowly and gently, and the person would still be immediately tapping out. With me, they could do it basically full speed, and I would just stand there like, is this supposed to hurt? Because it didn't hurt me at all. It was weird to see everybody else, like, you know, their finger would bend backwards just a tiny, tiny bit, and they would be like, ouch, 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 and I was like, is this supposed to hurt? Because it didn't. And there were various like joint things that they would do where they twist your arm and twist your wrists and stuff like that. And I just didn't feel those things. When the girls started getting hurt or doing things that I knew should have hurt and not crying, that really didn't occur to me, because I mean, I would still cry if I like fell down when I was a little kid. So it didn't really occur to me until later on when I started learning about proprioceptive sensory seeking, and then it was like, oh, okay, I think I know where they get that from. But that's not exactly what this is about today. What I want to talk about today is touch aversion and how that suddenly plays much more of a role when I am sick, but apparently also when James is sick, and how through James getting sick, I discovered something that I never knew before. And that is what I'm talking about today. So I wouldn't necessarily consider myself to have a touch aversion. I know that we've been told that Maggie does, and I really didn't notice that until she was evaluated, and then I was like, oh, okay, I guess I could see that. That's why, that was when she was little, that was why they said she held stuff in her hands like toys, and we didn't really see it with us, but with other people. And I guess she would always want to be covered up because she didn't like light touches. And then with Tessie, it was really, really clear she didn't like to be touched at all when she was a tiny baby. But from the time that I was really young, anytime that I got sick, if I had a fever, every part of my skin from the top of my head to my toes would just hurt really, really badly. And I thought that was just how fevers were. I thought that was how everyone in the world experienced fevers, and that was just that. I didn't really begin to get an inkling of that it was any different. And even when this first thing happened, I still didn't get that not everyone experienced fevers like this until I was pregnant with Patrick. And when I was pregnant with Patrick, when I was 36 weeks pregnant, I got really, really sick and I was hospitalized. And when I wasn't quite hospitalized yet, basically I came in with this 103-degree fever to labor and delivery, because the fever was also causing me to have really bad contractions, and I just felt generally like deathly ill and was having a hard time breathing. And they got the fever under control the first time, and after my doctor went home, they actually sent me home, which my doctor didn't realize that they were going to do, but they did. I got even sicker again, and about 4 hours later I came back to the hospital. And when I came back to the hospital with my fever back up over 103, my doctor was not at the hospital, and there was a resident there who was asking me questions, and the question was, what was the main symptom? What was the main thing that was bothering me? And even though I could hardly breathe and I'd been shaking uncontrollably for hours, I said that the thing that hurt the most was my skin. Every part of my skin hurt. And she said, so aches. It's like, no, I mean, I have aches, but that's not it. It's my skin. My skin hurts. And she kept asking the question. I think she asked it like 20 times and was just getting increasingly frustrated because obviously that was not a box that she could check. Skin hurts. And there was a nurse in the room who was on my other side. She was at the computer on one side, the nurse was on the other side, and the nurse was getting increasingly upset about the way she was asking me. She was getting madder, the nurse was getting madder. I was just trying to answer the question, which was, my skin feels like it's on fire, but it's not on fire. It just feels like every touch feels agonizingly, the blanket hurts. The pillow hurts. Everything that touches me hurts. And it's not usually like that. Maybe that's what touch aversion feels like for some people. I don't know. Or sometimes. Finally, she left and was really not happy with me. And the nurse had said to me, doesn't she even know what it's like to be sick? And which at the time I thought that meant that like this was a normal thing. And the next day, the resident actually came back and apologized. My doctor came, admitted me. They did like an amnio because they thought there was an infection. No, they never actually figured out. I spent 4 days with infectious disease, hooked up to 4 different types of antibiotics, and they never figured out what was going on. But that's not the point. The point was, I still thought everybody experienced this when they had fevers. If you have, let me know, because I'm curious about how often people do experience this. Because James got sick this last week and he had a fever that was over 102 for 5 days. And the first day he came home and he was just feeling awful. And I asked him if he wanted to take a bath, if he thought that would help him to feel better, and he said yes, and he did. And when he told me he felt too weak to get out, so I lifted him up under his armpits and he started screaming and tears were pouring down his face. I said his skin hurt, it hurt when I touched him like that. And I'd put him down and I'd put the towel around him and he's screaming that the towel hurt. We walked into the bedroom and I was helping him get his clothes on, and my hand just barely brushed his arm and he screamed that hurt. And then I knew what was going on. I understood. I was telling him, buddy, I know your skin hurts. Sometimes this is what happens when you have a fever. And I got him all the way. I said, I'm putting you in this sleeper, this soft fleece sleeper, and it covers all of your skin. I'm putting you in this, and then I'm gonna put you in my bed and we're gonna turn off the lights, and that's gonna help. I'm giving you Tylenol, so you're gonna feel better soon, and it's gonna get better, but all these things are gonna help, and when you wake up you're gonna feel a little bit better. So we got him in the sleeper, and once the fleece sleeper was zipped up, he was calmer, and then he got under like our heavy down comforter and laid down, and that actually helped, and he went to sleep. And when he woke up, the Tylenol had kicked in, and every time the Tylenol wore off for the first 3 days, it started back up again. So on the second day, I asked Sadie. We were talking and I told Sadie it was like, and Sadie goes, that has never happened to me. I've never felt like that before. And I was like, huh. And that was when I thought, wait. And so then I asked Paul, I asked Patrick, I asked my mom, I asked everyone that I could think of. And that was when I started to realize that's why that doctor didn't understand. And that's why this maybe is like, it's a sensory thing. It's being sick, but it's also a sensory thing. It's not how everyone experiences being sick, which was kind of an enlightening moment for me. Like, oh, but it also helped. When I called James' doctor, they wanted to see him because he had this awful nonstop headache for all of these days. And he'd had this high fever for 3 days, and so on the third day we took him in. I explained what had been going on. I also explained the skin thing too, and she kind of looked at me and I said, and I explained the whole thing. I said, I think that it's a sensory thing on top of a fever thing, because I get it too. It's when you have a fever, but it also hurts really, really bad to be touched while you have a fever. I think it's a sensory processing disorder thing. It was helpful to be able to relate to him, but it was also helpful to know that it's not the way everyone else feels. Which, I mean, I think you just assume, like, when everybody else has a fever that they feel this way, because why wouldn't you know that? I don't know. It took me 37 years to realize this, and I only finally realized it because I was talking to my 11-year-old about our 5-year-olds, and it finally clicked in my head, and then I started asking people. So I was wondering, does anyone else feel like this when they get sick? If you do, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you don't, it probably sounds really, really weird because it's hard to explain. Or if you have any sort of touch aversion, it probably maybe sounds familiar to you. I don't know, because I don't have touch aversion all the time. I just apparently do when I have a fever, and then it's off the charts, and I don't want anyone anywhere near me. So that is it for today. Thanks for coming along on this kind of rambling journey. I figured it was going to take a little bit of rambling to explain this one, and it did. If you like this video, we would love it if you'd give it a thumbs up, and if you're interested in all things autism, we'd love it if you'd hit subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.